Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Sagittarius for June 2015. Go to my website, aspiritualspark.com, or click on the link below this video to see more about my personal live coaching, also to see more about my 28-day virtual coaching program called Shine, which is intended to help you bring your brilliance and shine into the world. I'm very excited about it. And while you're there, sign up for my free email newsletter and become part of my community. So what's going on for Sag in June? We have so much sweetness in this month, it's crazy. And it's particularly amplified for our sign. My sun is in Sagittarius and I have lots of placements in Sag, so I'm always doing this horoscope with you, experiencing this with you. And it's just so much beautifulness going on this month. There's amazing aspects involving Mars, Venus, the sun, in conjunction with Jupiter and Uranus and one Saturn aspect, but they're all favorable. And they're all in fire and or air, which is like so good for us. It's just crazy on fire in awesome ways. There is one challenging aspect that we can talk about, and we'll just do it first and just get it over with, and that is June 2nd, the full moon. So as I say this, there's a challenge to it because there was a Neptune square to the full moon. But this full moon is in Sagittarius. So here we are again, like back to Sag. There's like big things going on for us. Whenever we have a full moon, especially a full moon in our sign, something is coming to completion, something is coming to fruition. And the closer your Sag placement is to 11 degrees, which is where the full moon is, the more this is going to affect you. So check out your chart. If you don't know what your chart looks like, do a search for a free birth chart and look to see what planets, maybe you have more planets in Sag than you're even aware of, what planets you have near 11 degrees of Sagittarius. And the ones that are within several degrees of that, the more you have there, the more you're going to be affected by this. So since we still have Mercury in retrograde at this time, there's something coming to fruition from the past. Something has been building, something has been brewing, you have been working on things. And this is an awesome time for being recognized for this, or something coming through that was like, wow, you've been doing all this work for all this time, and now at this moment something's coming in. But since we have this square with Neptune, you're not going to have all the information. That's just how it is. Whenever there's an aspect in a challenging degree, like a 90-degree angle, which is a square, that brings out some of the less desirable aspects of the planets involved. So Neptune's shadow side is, it can be deceptive, it can be addictive, it can be escapist, it can bring confusion, and it can bring chaos. So you might find yourself confused at this full moon. So big things are happening, but confusion is alongside of it. But still, the good things that will come from it, you'll see them further into the future after the confusion, is not there. So maybe something's coming to completion and maybe it's bittersweet. That's a very common way I would see a negative aspect to something that could be positive. It's bittersweet. It's like, wow, this is the start of this. But then that also means this is the end of this, and you're sad about that, but you're happy about that. Try to not agree to anything at this time. Mercury's still in retrograde. The Neptune aspect means you don't know the whole story. Sag energy has a tendency to say yes. I know that sometimes if someone is asking me for something that it seems like it's exciting, and sometimes I'm saying yes before I even know exactly what it is, because I get worked up, right? We get excited. Don't say yes, or say yes but, and give yourself some time to digest the information, to think about the implications, to, most importantly, and I'm going to say this more than once, read the fine print. The reason why I'm saying it more than once, read the fine print, is because Sagittarius in general are not reading the fine print, right? We go on how it feels. We go on how it sounds. We go on how we experience the telling of whatever it is, And that's not reading the fine print. And I'm not saying that that can't or won't get you far. But this is a time where it's very important for you to take, in this case, probably a couple of weeks, till at least June 14th if you can, to go over everything, to talk to people about whatever's happening, to ask questions, to go back and forth with getting things situated. And then once we're June 14th through the end of the month, the energy is much more clear for committing to things. Now, in general, you still have to be aware that the retrogrades are present, and it's going to come in some way. Things that you're agreeing to are going to change. So you have to know that going into it. This is how we blend, the energy of these new things coming in with the fact that it's in all of this retrograde energy. So it's like things from the past coming to fruition now. Things from the past having an anchor in the past, but happening now. But it's someone from the past or something from the past is an important element of what is coming in. We also have many aspects with the planet Uranus this month, but this month it's wonderful aspects with Uranus, not like the jostling, life, altering in not a positive way, seeming like a difficult way, aspects that we've had with Uranus in these past months. We've had some really rip-roaring news that has come in. Uranus has blindsided us, giving not happy surprises. That's what Uranus is like when it's not in a good angle. Not to say that Uranus can't also bring news that's not good when it's in a positive angle, but statistically, there's more of a chance of happy surprises when Uranus is in a positive angle. We have so much of this going on. We have June 9th, June 9th we have Mars in Gemini and the Sun in Gemini, both making a favorable angle to Uranus. We have Jupiter making a favorable angle to Uranus, which is a longer term transit, which has kind of been in the backdrop for a while. That's happening on the 22nd. We have Venus making a favorable angle to Uranus on between June 28th and June 29th. So Venus rules love and money. We've got Mars ruling your energy and your projects. We've got the Sun ruling what you want and your vibrance. We have Jupiter ruling benevolence and expansion and growth and optimism and hope, which is our ruling planet. And all of this is happening in these fire signs with these favorable angles. So I just can't even comprehend all the positive potentials of this time for us. Now, of course, with all that being said, I always have to help facilitate the maximizing of the positive transits by understanding what it is that blocks the fruition of good energy. If you have been listening to horoscopes that are saying, yay, good things are coming, and those good things never come, you are blocking them from the inside. Okay, you have to imagine spirit coming through your crown chakra, infusing your body with life force energy, and then projecting out through this lens, and it comes through and it projects out on the screen before you, which is your life. So let's say, I like butterflies, so we'll just say that you've got this little metal butterfly thing that's right here on the back of where the light comes in and comes out. So when you look out, you're going to see the image of a butterfly, right? Because the light comes in and it comes out in the form of a butterfly. Well, that is what life is like. Whatever you have on the inside, in your skeletal structure, your DNA, your brain wiring from your natal chart, which is wired into your body, spirit comes in with a light and it pushes out all of your inner wiring, and that makes your life. That creates the life out before you. So if a positive transit is happening, and gosh, this month has so much potential, it's crazy, and you're having this month pass you, or you've had other months pass you where these things were also present, similar things, and nothing happens for you, you're blocking it. Planetary transits will always bow down to your internal programs. So let's say there's a transit that can interfere with someone's self-esteem. Okay, and Neptune can always do that, and especially at this full moon, right? So let's say you have such a strong program of, I am good enough, I am beautiful, I am happy, I am worth it. When that negative transit comes through, even if you had a moment of insecurity, you're not going to spiral because your program is so solid that that negative transit can't really do that much with that. The same thing if it's negative. If you have a story that you're not worthy of love, You can't make money doing what you love. You can't have what you need. This is so common in the world, everywhere. We have these programs. Then when these beautiful transits come and want to bring these happy surprises with people giving you money, with Venus being in the 8th house, like Sages have right now, and if not, it will soon be there for you later degree Sages. That's a placement of people wanting to give you money. Some of you even have Jupiter still in your 8th house, where you've had a long-term experience of the great expander wanting to have money come to you from all crazy sources. If you haven't been having that happen, you have a program that says, I can't make any money, I can't have any money. If money comes in, it has to go out. And then guess what? The planetary transits bow down to your story, which projects from inside out. That's a big deal. That is scary and that is empowering, because if you know where the problem is coming from, instead of pointing your fingers and saying outside, it's this person, it's that situation, and disempowering yourself by pointing outward, then you say, if I'm experiencing lack, I must have a program that is running that. So no matter what horoscope says anything, I'm not going to have prosperity. And if I do, it's not going to be for long, because I have a lack program. So what do you have to do? You have to clear out the lack program. That is the point. So I just want to tell you this, because I always get so many people writing posts and writing to me personally saying, I'm not having certain things going on. Why is that? This is why. This right here is why. But the good news is that this is the solution. This is the seed of empowerment. So it's always a good time to do inner work. And any inner work that you have done is going to show up big time this month. So I'm really excited about that for you. So speaking of which, let's talk about some of the placements of some of the inner the planets that move more quickly. So their influence is short, but it will encompass this month. So Venus moving through the 7th house, Venus moving through the 8th house, as it is for Sagittarius, depending on where your placements are, it's either going to be the 7th or 8th house. This brings harmony, this brings aesthetics, this brings cooperation, this brings love, this brings money into your relationships. You may have people trying to give you money. You may just say yes, right? You may have people coming into your life that are going to change your life in a big way, in a wonderful way. There's a strong focus on relationships for Sagittarius at this time. You are also going to have you early degree and some of the middle degree Sag placements are going to have Mars moving into the 7th house. So Mars rules where you're focusing on. You'll find that your attention is very strongly being brought to wherever Mars is in your chart. And it takes 2-ish years to move around the whole zodiac. So it spends, 6-ish weeks in a house, but it hasn't been there for years. But when it comes, it naturally brings your focus to this place, and this place is relationships. So the best way to use Mars in the 7th house is to work in cooperation with other people. The things that you do in conjunction with other people now are going to shine brighter than anything else that you could do or anything else that you can imagine. It's a wonderful time to work with a spouse on a project that's home or family related or work related. It's wonderful to work with your business partners during this time. So June, for you early to middle degree placements, and then this will be staggered later into June and then into July for you later degree placements. Get working on a project. Part of why we want you to do that also is because Mars can also bring aggression. So if you're not using this tremendous amount of energy you have available to you appropriately, then it can just become agitating and turn into fighting or arguing. I always think of border collies when I think of Mars, because they're like that. It's like this little motor, and they're just like, they got to be doing something. They got to be doing something. And when they're doing something, they're fine. And if they get to where they're not doing something, then they get nippy or they get barky. And that is how Mars is in your 7th house. So you and other people around you are going to be either working hard on something and making forward movement, or you're going to be yipping and barking at each other, right? So you want to be productive. You want to be efficient with the energy. So for those of you, some middle and the rest of you later degree placements of Sag, you still have Mars in your 6th house. And the 6th house is very much about your health and your well-being and your daily routine. It's the house of meditation. It's the house of things you do every day. And this is also your systems, you know? If I don't even know what I would do without my systems. Everything of the many things that I keep up would fall down and crumble in an instant without systems. That is the nature of them. And the 6th house rules systems. So when you have Mars spending time in the 6th house, this is a time to rework your systems. And for you earlier placements, you will have just gone through this and it's coming to a completion at the end of June. Maybe you'll feel it still, you know, into the beginning of June. And it will go longer for you, some middle to late placements. But this is the time to rework your systems. What is working? What isn't working? What could you use that would make things so much easier? What is a problem that you're having and what is the solution to that problem? Let's say that your family is tracking stuff in the house and you're in double time sweeping and vacuuming all the time. Maybe you buy one piece of furniture that holds all the shoes at the front of the house and everybody has to put their shoes in there. And then they're not tracking things in, and that's your system. That's the new system. Sometimes it takes a little while to implement these things and get everyone in the habit of it, but that's an example of it. You know, so that one purchase, that one thing can save hours of continuous wasted energy that is not unnecessary. That's the theme of Mars placement there. And this is also your physical health. So if you have been tired, if you have been overworked, if you have, your health hasn't been good, having Mars in the 6th house can help you find solutions to your problems. So it's good to actively use that in researching solutions as well. So let's see what else. The new moon in Gemini is on June 16th. That has wonderful energy. Throughout the month from June 25th through June 28th and 29th, we have, on the 5th, we have Mars making a nice angle to Jupiter. On the 5th and 6th, we have Venus making a favorable angle to Saturn. I always think of Saturn as a grumpy kind of, you know, oldish, wise, rich, whatever person, being. And Venus comes in this nice angle and it's like flirting with him or it. And it brings a wonderful side out of Saturn. So that's happening at the beginning of June as well, after the full moon. Then we have the Sun and Mars making these great aspects to Jupiter and to Uranus. We've got Mercury going direct on June 11th with the days from June 8th to June 14th being a little more haywire because it's awkward for the movement to go forward. So, you know, more mishaps with communication, transportation, pay extra attention during those times. Try to avoid signing the contracts until at least after June 14th if you can help it. If you've been following my horoscopes, I've been saying, excuse me, not to do anything or launch anything new if you can help it while we have these personal planets retrograde. If there are certain things that you really have to launch and bring out, from June 14th through the end of June, there's some sweet spots to do that. So if you have to bring something out, use that time to do it. There will be some implications from the retrogrades and it will show up in some ways, but there's also really awesome transits. So June 22nd, we have Jupiter in Leo trining Uranus in Aries, you know, more happy surprises, more benevolence, more optimism, more hope, more expansion, more growth, more luck. And yeah, so the new moon in Gemini, that's new energy in relationship again. So we have more layers of relationship. Wherever the new moon is, it's in the 7th house for most Sages. There's opening up a new level of relationships. So you'll find yourself very much focused on your relationships. It's one of the big themes for Sag. And if you're not naturally doing it, you might want to proactively do it. You know, count your blessings and look for the things that are going right and well and appreciate them, and they'll probably be magnified and amplified. And then also take some stock in May, if you're watching this in May, you know, of what things can really improve in your life. And then use June, I mean, as far as your relationships, and then use June to focus on those things. The things that need attention within your relationships, you're going to take them so much further by focusing on them in June. So I can't see what's going on in your personal chart. I'd like very much to. If you'd like to have a live reading with me, you can see more about that on my website, aspiritualspark.com, and you can click on coaching. And also, I love my 28-day virtual coaching program, Shine. I have created it to help you do that inner work that helps you to project out wonderful things into your life. So Check that out. It's available on a sliding scale so that it's accessible to everyone. And once you have the program, you can do it over and over again. You know, you can keep going deeper with that as much as you'd like. And while you're there, sign up for my free email newsletter and become part of my community. So I hope you have a wonderful June. I'll see you next month. Bye.